We are live. All right, sports update. Adrian, Reid, fellas, what's good?
What's good?
Another episode. So we got the NCAA women's tournament going on. We had the big game last night, LSU in Iowa, which was the most bet on women's game of all time. So Iowa ended up beating LSU 94-87. So Adrian, what you think of this game, and is it Iowa or bust at this point for to win a national championship?
No, I mean, great performance by Caitlin Clark. She continues to do what she does and impress us all. I think she got a lot of help from her teammates. Got a lot more points scoring from some of the role players that they didn't get for the regular season. I know a couple of them doubled their scoring average in this game, but her hitting those 9 threes was very big catalyst from the team. But right now, as it looks, in my opinion, I believe South Carolina is the team to beat for a national title. They've been a complete machine all year. They haven't lost a game yet, but the Caitlin Clark story is great. I just think if they run into South Carolina, they're not beating them.
Yeah, I mean, she played well. She played a lot more team basketball this game than normal. I mean, granted, she'd have the 9 threes that she made, but yeah, I mean, I agree with Adrian. I wasn't even able to watch the game yesterday because I couldn't find it to stream it anywhere. And I agree with Adrian. I just think, yeah, South Carolina has a juggernaut of a team. They're rangy, they're skilled. So I think they're probably they're almost like the UConn of the men's. They're like the most complete team in the women's tournament. So, I mean, can it happen? Sure. I mean, if Caitlin Clark gets hot, she can definitely score some points, but that's not the defense. I feel like is going to be, they had a hard time. Iowa had a hard time with Angel Reese and that other gal on LSU who both had height over them. So, and I know South Carolina's got that. So if they can get the rebounds and the blocks like, they did it for LSU and stay in it offensively, I think they'll win. But Caitlin Clark has, she'll probably just have to do a regular thing and shoot a bunch of threes and, hope they can win. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Iowa got UConn next on Friday. And then, you got NC State and South Carolina. NC State women's and men's both in the Final Four. So ain't that something?
And UConn.
Right. Yeah. So Ice Cube offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to join the Big Three. Reid, anyway, you see that happening?
I mean, could I see it happening? Sure. She wanted, a free $5 million. Do I think it would be smart for her to do that? Probably not. I mean, she could have fun going up against some retired guys, but there's also guys that aren't too far out of the league that would play in it. I mean, if she wanted to just jack up a bunch of, run off a screen and jack up a few threes for $5 million, she can do that. I don't think it would hurt her, but I also think if she goes in there and just gets completely, demolished, I think it would not be a good look for her reputation. So does she need to do it? I don't think she needs to do it. It'd be cool to have an extra $5 million in her pocket, probably, but her NIL is also like $3.5 million. She's probably getting paid out more than that from other endorsements and stuff once she gets into the WNBA if she does go. So, the WNBA, it stinks that she's only going to make like, $75K if she gets drafted first overall. Maybe try and, pull a messy deal where you get, where she gets, revenue from jersey and views, but I don't think, she's that caliber of a player, but she could maybe negotiate something if she has a good agent, but I don't think she needs to do it. Would it be a cool experiment? Sure. I think she'd be better off just teaming up, with Clay or Anescu in the next All-Star game and just doing like a 3-point competition. Obviously, she's not going to get paid $5 million for that, but I think that'd be more entertaining than her having to go and play 8 games against some retired guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can see her playing in the Big Three. I think she's going to play with grown men, some guys who are just retired, or guys who even played in the NBA recently, or guys who are just trying to prove a point. I don't think she'd be too successful in there. And I think for Ice Cube, that'd be more of a money grab to get some attention on the Big Three. It's semi-popular. I've watched it a little bit, but I just think it's more so for a money grab. It would be good for a few months, but she can get to the WNBA and she'll find a way to make more money outside of her WNBA contract, because the WNBA is going to expand in a couple of years and add more teams. So the money will continue to get better. Not as good as the NBA or anything, but her endorsement deals will get her through. She'll be fine. She'll make plenty of money in other spots. So
I think she'll end up being the highest paid WNBA player for the foreseeable future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Probably the new face of the WNBA moving forward, honestly.
Her and Sabrina Ionescu, I think, although she kind of dropped off a little bit, but
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's move over to the men's side. So men's Final Four, you got NC State and Purdue, Alabama, and UConn. So Adrian, is it UConn or bust at this point, or who'd like to win it all?
UConn or bust. UConn or bust, man. They've been a buzzsaw. One of the 30-0 run in that game against Illinois. Tie game 23-23, and then ended the half on a 5-0 run in 25 points after the half. And when I feel like a team can give them a game they haven't been able to yet this season. Lost a couple guys to NBA, but continue to plug in. Klingen's gotten better. Tristan Newton's continue to get better. Caravan, Cam Spencer, Stephon Castle. They just have guys that throw at you, man. And I just don't see nobody's beating them. Maybe Purdue, but they have enough weapons and enough guys where they can combat what Purdue likes to do. Bama is going to have no shot. They like to get fast-paced, but the way they started that Clemson game, if they don't hit their shots, then they are in trouble. Well, I just see UConn repeating for the first time since the early Florida teams in 05, 06.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, I said it in the beginning when we talked about it, Raaj, and it was just you and me. We talked about the brackets. I had UConn going all the way. I just think that they're the most complete team. I think the coaching is unbelievable for that team too. So, like Adrian said, I agree. I think Purdue is probably your biggest, worry because of Edey, but they'll have a way to combat him, I'm sure. I do want NC State to win it all, obviously. I think a good Cinderella story, but I think their time has come because I don't think DJ can really hang with Edey. He gets tired. He fouls a lot. So I think their run ends here against Purdue. But, yeah, I definitely think that UConn is going to win it all.
Okay, so Reid, you think Purdue is the better matchup for UConn?
I think NC State would be obviously the better matchup because I think they're the less superior team. But I also think Purdue – I think that UConn can beat Purdue. I think that they have the tools to beat Purdue.
Okay, cool. Yeah, UConn is an 11.5-point favorite, and Purdue is a 9.5-point favorite. So yeah, we'll see. Two 1 seeds made it this far, Purdue and UConn. So, all right. So, as far as the Adrian in his Final Four, what player do you think has the highest upside in the NBA out of these last 4 teams remaining?
Nobody from NC State, nobody from Purdue. So it's got to be a guy from UConn. I'm either going to go probably Stephon Castle. He's a McDonald's All-American last year, 6'5". He hasn't really got to show his true game because he was hurt at the beginning of the season. He could shoot a little bit, but his defense has been remarkable. Klingen, I believe, is going to be a better pro than Zach Edey because I believe he's more agile, he can block shots. He's more of what a modern big would be. So those 2 guys would be the 2 of the guys I would be looking at.
Yeah, I think Castle's probably your the guy who's going to succeed the most. I think Edey, a guy that's familiar to us and is rising up in NFL draft boards is JJ. I think Edey's draft stock has kind of risen since this whole thing started, especially since he's scoring 30 plus points and putting up 20 plus rebounds a game. I think people will kind of look at that, but in the end, I think that he's just going to kind of fizzle out in the NBA, and I think he's not going to be able to hang with bigger centers that can. I mean, there's obviously big kids in college that can play center, but it's not anywhere near the NBA. I mean, college centers really don't thrive in the NBA almost anymore. You get very few you get guys, but you get your Duren, who's more of a traditional center now, like the Pistons have. But if he's going up against a joker, you're basically just putting him in the paint, and he's going to have to come out and try and stop Joker. I think Joker's going to be too fast, or a guy like I think Embiid would be a lot stronger than him. So yeah, I think Edey's going to have a lot of trouble. But again, I think Cass is going to be the best guy to go in the NBA.
Okay, what about Burns from NC State? You see him getting drafted?
I could see it. I could see somebody maybe I could see someone maybe taking a project on him like late in the second round if they, somebody thinks that, because obviously Jokic came out and spoke so highly of him, but and he said that they kind of play similarly. He's a good team guy. His problem is he's just not very athletic. He doesn't really move with much urgency. If you watch him going up and down the floor, his transition defense isn't all that great. So he's got to play on a team that would play a little bit slower. But if he does get drafted, I ultimately think he'll probably just be a die in a G League kind of guy if he does.
I agree. He's older too, so the NBA always they always don't give the older guys any credit. They always bang on him for that. So I just don't think he'll be NBA player. I know NFL scouts have shown some interest in him, but him or Edie, I don't think are gonna do great in the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think Burns gonna get drafted either. If he does, it'd probably be like one of the last 5 picks of the draft. But I think Edie could go at the bottom of the first. He's really helped his stock out. So I don't think he's gonna do much in the NBA. But
I've seen a few people saying lottery. I don't know. A few pick him in the lottery.
Insane.
That'd be crazy. That's crazy to me.
Zach Edey, in my opinion, won't even be a first round draft pick. That's just me.
I think he will be now. I don't think he should be. I think it's that's why I compared him to like the JJ thing. Like I think JJ could be a solid quarterback if he goes to the right situation, but I don't think he's a first round pick by any means. I think Edie's just the time of a 7+ foot center is just, it's kind of over. I mean, you saw it with the guys like Taco Fall, Garza. I think Garza wasn't as tall, but I mean he was still almost pushing 7 feet. Yeah, I mean all these productive college guys like Drew Timme, although he was kind of more power forward, but like he didn't, he dominated in college and just didn't make it anywhere into the NBA. So a lot of these games don't translate anymore. You got to be a 6'8" to 6'10", anywhere from like 185 to 225 pounds to really succeed. And you can't just have one trick in your bag like Edey does.
Yeah, if he actually had a jumper, some mid range, could shoot threes, I think he probably would be a lottery pick. But he literally just goes to the right with the hook. That's pretty much it. He's a one trick pony and not a good free throw shooter. So.
And he's slow on top of that. He doesn't play defense.
Yeah. So Adrian, overall, who do you think's had more exciting tournament, the women or the men's?
By far the women. The last 2 years by the men have been super disappointing. We can tell right now the problem with college basketball and men's college basketball particularly comes down to the women have to stay in school longer for 3-4 years. While we know the men have been dealing with the transfer portal, NIL. Some of the older guys are staying, but there's no JJ Reddicks of the past, no Jay Williams, Sean Mays. So some of the older guys, we got to see some of the Florida teams for 2-3 years together. Guys aren't staying in school, man. So there's nobody to root for, and I'll see them next year. In college women's, you got Juju right now. You got Paige Becker. She'll be back for another year. Juju still has another 2-3 years left. Angel Reese could possibly be back. Flo J. Johnson will be back. So it just star power. South Carolina has star power. There's a girl that plays for Texas right now. She's a stud. I think Madison something. I believe she's a stud. Even LSU has a freshman, Michaela Williams. They're just at a high level right now. Just you can root for the stories, you root for the players, but in college, even my team, North Carolina, I'm lucky RJ Davis has played 4 years. Mondo Baycott has been there 6 years. Guys just don't typically stay, man. And or if they do, they go to a different school. So it's nothing you can hold your hat on, man.
Yeah, I mean, the last school that you really see kind of have guys stick around for that long almost is Michigan State, and it doesn't really, work out for them anymore because, the transfer portal is huge, NIL is big. So I would agree that the games are the story of the games and individual players are a little bit more exciting than the women's, but I think the product on the court is a little stale compared to the men's, obviously, because it's not as exciting with dunks and all that other stuff, and the play isn't around as good as the men's is, but it's still more exciting to watch just because, like Adrian said, it's fresh. A lot of these girls are very talented now, like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. I mean, 2 girls on LSU put up double-doubles last night. Caitlin Clark almost had a triple-double. I mean, you have just this huge culture that's coming in now with these girls. So Van Lith is another one that's on LSU that's a pretty big name. She didn't play well yesterday, but she's a bigger name that people kind of follow around. So yeah, I think like Adrian said, it just stinks that the men's game has gotten almost oversaturated to the point where kids leave. You don't. The blue chip teams aren't even really as good anymore. I mean, UConn's not technically a blue chip team, I wouldn't say. They might be now, but they're not a Kansas. They're not a North Carolina. They're not a Duke. Like they're not these teams that have shown you great promise in years past when they had guys sticking around for longer. So I think you're just seeing more teams as recently as your Alabamas, Miami last year. Houston's kind of a newer. They have had success in the past, but they're newer to the recent years. So I think there's just a lot more. There's a lot less frequency of bigger teams getting into the tournament, and a lot more lower seeds kind of succeeding because they can go and get guys now, which I guess is kind of what they wanted. But again, I think it just oversaturates the tournament now. Now they're talking about adding more teams in too, which is crazy to me. So. That's just, I don't know. I still enjoy March Madness. I still think it's one of the greatest sporting spectacles that we have of the year, and it's a great way to start off the year. But again, it can get a little stale fast. I also don't like I think I might be in the minority of this, but I don't like how they take that long break, that week-long break or whatever it is between the round of, or is it the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight? Yeah. They take like a week break, but I mean, I get it. Give the guys rests and stuff like that because they're traveling a lot. But I think they should just kind of play it through almost like 3 days rest.
I mean, we could dive into it more, but one of my big issues with college basketball, same thing with college football we talked about. We have the transfer portal, right, guys? But as soon as the transfer portal should not open until after the Final Four. It should not be opening during postseason play. These coaches are worrying about more so these guys having to recruit and keep their own guys while they're getting calls from other coaches about watching their son play and trying to get them to other schools. We need to set a precedent on that. So I think that's kind of crazy. Like as soon as the day is over, guys are already in their transfer portal and already visiting schools that are still playing in the tournament. That's just a little nuts to me.
Yeah, they definitely need to add some more rules and regulations on both sides, football and basketball for sure. So to your North Carolina guys, you mentioned Adrian, Bay Coot, and RJ Davis. How do you see those guys transition to the NBA? Do you see them playing in the NBA? Where do you think they get drafted at?
Armando is not an NBA player. I've talked to you guys about this before. Same move, post up, hook shot, just like Zach E. Just a little more athletic. He can rebound, but he doesn't even shoot a jump shot. Raj Reid, you haven't even seen a mid-range corner jump shot from the free throw line. He's a hell of a rebounder, but he's not giving you much more than that. Now, RJ Davis, I definitely think can play in the NBA. He could be a microwave scorer. He's a smaller guard. He can go like the G League up and possibly be, a backup guard. He's a little smaller, but there's word. I don't think this is gonna happen, but if he wants to, he can come back to Carolina for a fifth year because I believe he was the last year eligible for COVID. I think this class, the senior class, is the last year eligible, I believe. So I'll be happy when that's over, guys, because sometimes it's hard to even keep track of with a guy's sophomore, junior. He's been to 2-3 schools, but overall, I think if RJ decides to leave, if he does go, he'll be an okay NBA player. I told you guys I found it very crazy that during the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16, that RJ Davis and Caleb Love both decided to pick that day for them to have the worst games of their possible college career before they possibly could have matched up with each other. So the fact that they both went out like that was kind of crazy.
Sure. All right, cool. Well, yeah, March Madness. We'll see we'll see how that all unfolds this weekend. So Reid, Tigers are currently 4-0, top of the AL Central right now. They are in the rain delay tonight out in New York. Mize was on the mound. It was going to be our first time seeing Mize in a couple years though, but only 4 games into a very long season. So, So what's your analysis of this Tigers team right now? 4-0.
They're pacing for 162-0, so I'm excited for that. I'll be excited when that happens. No, I mean the bullpen. I mean, a lot of people wanted to poo-poo it early in the year because they didn't know what was going to happen with Mize and obviously young talent like Manning. You have Job who can be called up. You have all the Reese Olson. So a lot of the pitching has surprised me, to be honest with you. And I've thought that the bats have been a little lackluster. The offensive side of the ball, Torque is off to a slower start. Green's off to a slower. He has one hit for a home run, which is kind of cool. But they picked up Canna, who's been playing well. Urshela has been playing well, or however you pronounce his last name. So, they're doing okay. I kind of wish they would have gotten Chapman. I said that to you guys. Matt Chapman, he's the third baseman. He would have been a good bat. I said yesterday too, it's Wyatt Langford who got called up for the Texans already, or the Rangers, sorry. The Rangers already. He played outfield, made a great catch. I believe he's already got about 3 to 5 hits, something like that, in these 4 games. So they could have drafted him. They opted for Max Clark. Clark is younger. He's 19. He played well last year in his minor and his AA affiliate. So, it looks hopeful. The division is weak, as we all know. But 4-0. I don't think they've done that since 2016 or something like that. So it's exciting to see. I always like when the Tigers are good. It's always fun, getting down to the ballpark when it's worth watching. So if the bats can get hot and can, kind of stay consistent throughout the year, I think they have a good chance of winning 80 plus. I think the over-under is like 86 or something like that. So, the way it's pacing.
I think it was lower than that.
Was it?
It was 84, I believe.
Yeah, like 83, 84 or something like that.
Okay, so 83, 84. I had higher expectations, clearly. So, I think they could ultimately do it. A lot of people say that this whole division won't even go over 500 on the year. So, I don't know. I think the Tigers have the opportunity to do it. I think this team is going to surprise a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying they're going to, like I said, 162. Obviously, they're not going to win that. I don't know if they'll get to 90 games, but I could see anywhere from 84 to 88 games being won by them, and that should be enough to get you to win the division.
As Reid being the resident Tigers fan, yeah, my biggest problem, like we talked about, is that third base position. They got Urshela, they got McKinstry. Urshela, he's only going to play against left-handed, so left-handers pretty much. I just don't know, man. I just don't know if they have enough pop. I like Parker Meadows, actually, but I don't know if he doesn't give you enough offense, but his defense is pretty good. So I guess we're going to see if the bats are going to have to pick up. Our boy Javi's got 3 hits this year, so he's doing better than he did in spring training. We'll see. I'll give Colt Keith a little bit of time. I know he's not hitting the ball well to start the season right now. So we'll see. Kerry Carpenter, I like him, but I just doesn't give you that extra pop. They added the Chapman guy who feels so much better in that lineup. You give it a little more strength. But you know how the Illiges are, man. They didn't do it. But I'm not concerned with the pitching. I think they'll be good. I think these guys are doing solid so far. They'll be in contention to win a division because like you talked about, this division is not good. The Royals aren't good. The Twins are solid. I think the Twins are probably the Tigers' biggest competition right now. They have a lot more established players. Cleveland's always doing something, trading their best players away every year. So we'll see. But I think they got a good shot at winning the division if it sets up right.
Yeah, for sure. I like how the pitching staff look. It's really just the bats. Bats need to liven up a little more. We're only 4 games in, and you've been playing in a lot of cold weather too. Chicago, New York. So maybe when the weather heats up, not that I'm making excuses for professional athletes, but I think that does play a factor as well, though. It's cold out there, and it's not going to be as much offense. Even the game last night against New York, that was 0-0 to the 10th, and then I think it ended like 5-0, but those 5 runs didn't come until the 10th inning. So, but once the backs pick up, I think the team will be in better position. They're already in good position 4-0, but it's still early. But once the bats start picking up, the offense starts to get the rolling. I think they really start making some noise for sure.
I never understood why when they do baseball season, so obviously I know the Tigers play the Dodgers for at least one series this year. They played the Angels before. I don't know why they don't put those early California games, or if they go and play the Diamondbacks or someone like that on the schedule. Why don't you put the warm weather games in the beginning of the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season, so they're everybody's playing in warm weather, and then they come back to opening day, It's going to be warm this opening day, but not always. But for the most part, I mean, you come back opening day, it might be warmer than, we've seen it snowing here before, but I don't know why they'd ever do, or at least 1 week or 1 or 2 weeks of them playing the California teams that they have on the schedule, or the Arizonas or the Texas or the, keep them all along the coast or something against those teams. Go, play your Tampa Bays, your Rangers, your Astros, they're playing the Astros in May, on my birthday, and I don't understand why they wouldn't just start the season with them. I mean, it just, I don't know. It always blew my mind. And you've talked about it too, Raj. Just shorten the season. 162 plus playoffs is a lot of baseball.
I say shorten it by 20 games, so maybe get down to 140, 142. That's about fair.
Yeah,
start the season late April, early May.
Right, because especially by the time when football starts back up too, baseball should be ending at that point. It should be.
Don't tell Jelenic that. Don't tell Jelenic that.
He don't want to hear it. All right, so let's get some Pistons in here. So Adrian, 7 games left of the season, another lost season. So just moving forward with this Pistons team, man. What could this Pistons team do moving forward? And do you see Cade re-signing an extension here?
I do see Cade signing the extension now. If he stays long term, I'm not sure yet. But no guys ever passed up the rookie contract extension. What happens after that? We'll have to see. What I would like to see is Troy Weaver get fired in a perfect world, but we all know that's not happening. But if it was me, they need to figure out some way to take this draft pick and go get a established veteran player, not like an older guy, but like a guy who has some promise and a guy who can work with Cade, is preferably a wing player. So that's what I would like to see. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know, because we can get into that later, because we got to see what some of these teams are aiming to do. But you have to get better. You have to get shooting, which you don't have no shooting. You have to get explosive, and have to get some more veteran leadership to help out Cade and get some of these guys out of here, because it's just not acceptable. They're gonna re-sign Fontecchio. I guarantee you guys, and I think he's an okay player, but what they gave up, they're definitely.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, see what they give him.
He's a good 6 man.
Yeah,
that's. If you want to do that, that's cool. But I'm still.
You're not gonna. They're not gonna. They're not gonna roll out a max for him or anything.
I would try to figure out a way to trade Sor Thompson or Jay Ivey.
Trade Ivy.
Yeah, one of the two. You have to, because the pieces that those three don't work together. It doesn't work right now. The timeline, it's not adding up.
All right, so now I'll bring my 2 cents into it. I know a lot of people dislike this draft that's coming up, and maybe NFL GMs might not like it either. I think that you having this pick, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, people say that it's not a great draft, so it might not hold a lot of value to people. I think a lot of why people say that this isn't a great draft. 1, I just don't think there's a lot of good college players really left to even like when Cooper Flagg comes next year, who's supposed to be a top pick. I just don't think the college game really is all that great anymore. You see G Leaguers have been going in the top now. So I think it just has to do with a lot of international guys and a lot of G League guys that are now getting picked in the top. It's just the way it goes, because a lot of those kids don't choose not to go to college because they choose to chase money, which is fine, obviously, but they choose to go play for money and not, play for national championships or anything like that. So that being said, I think that this draft, I think you're fine keeping your pick if it's, it should be 1 or 2. That's wishful thinking being a Pistons fan, since you could have 5 2 years in a row. But if you get 1 or 2, I would ultimately, the only player I would trade out of the starting 4 would be Ivy. I think you can get enough for him. I think you get more for him than you would Asar. And I also think Asar is just a better player. I think he's just as athletic as Jaden Ivey, maybe more. And I think he's better defensively on the ball, which you need a lot of. They don't have a lot of defense. Ivy does not play great defense if you watch. Asar really only needs to develop his shot, which he, seemed to be doing before these blood clots happened. Hopefully those aren't, serious. But I think running Asar at a 2 or keeping him at the 3, depending on if you trade Ivy or not, which I ultimately don't think is going to happen, but I think should. But I think Asar, Duran, and Cade should be the 3 guys that you build around. Cade is definitely going to sign that rookie contract. I think he wants to be here. I think he has something to prove, and which he showed everybody. He's been playing well when he doesn't have superstars around him. If you trade, I know a guy that you said was Brandon Ingram, and if you could, call Pelicans, maybe send Ivy and 2 future firsts for him, I would probably do that. But I would keep this pick if it's a top 3. Or maybe even you send them this pick, it's a top 3 protected. But yeah, because there's guys like Zachary Roche, who's a wing shooter. He shoots almost 50% from 3. Alexander Sarr is another guy from he plays in the Perth Wildcats. He's a French guy. I know that we have a bad taste in our mouth for the Frenchman, obviously, because Killian Hayes, but he's 7'1". He can shoot well. He can play defense. You can put him at the 4, almost like a Wemby type. He's obviously not as generational, but yeah, I wouldn't trade the pick necessarily. But yeah, bringing in a vet would help. I think ultimately, we've given enough try for Ivy. I think that he's probably your weakest link at this point, and you should get rid of him.
Yeah. I try to get rid of Ivy, as you guys know. Brandon Ingram or Michael Porter Jr., 2 guys I would like to see you trade for, and another guy I'd like you bring in free agency, not trading your lottery pick for, but I'd like to bring in Zach LaVine. I think him and Cade could. I think he would offset Cade well what he does. He's a scorer. He could shoot. I think he'd be an upgrade over Ivy personally. He's more consistent than Ivy in my opinion. Ivy just disappears too much. He's just too up and down. So yeah, I'd get rid of Ivy. The guys I'd keep Cade, Duran, Asor. I like Wiseman and Sasser pretty much. Other than that, those 5 guys, anybody else can go. I like Fontecchio too. I'd bring him back. But yeah,
I'd even like if Miles Bridges is going to be a free agent, if you can get him for a nice deal, because he'll be a free agent, so you don't have to give up any capital. I would definitely try
That's
to go after
what I
him.
want them to go get.
Yeah, he's a 20-point game for score. He's shooting about 30, 38, 40% from 3. He's athletic. So he would bring some punch to this Pistons team that they need bad. So that's the one guy to look out for. So
yeah, that's ultimately who I want them to go get, would be him. Ingram, I think you're just gonna have to trade a lot for, which ultimately will be fine because he's scoring 20 plus a game. He's long, he can shoot, so I'd be fine with that. But that's ultimately like the highest prize that they would go for.
Ivy and beef stew, is that enough?
No, you'd have to give probably 2 first rounders still. He's technically a star, and you know how these trades go in the NBA. Now we've seen Kevin Durant go for, well, it's Kevin Durant obviously, but we've seen him go 3-4 picks. Like guys get first round picks are almost nothing anymore unless they're top 3. That's why I say top 3 protected. But yeah, Bridges ultimately would be the guy that I want. I would take LaVine if you could get him for cheap. Obviously, you're taking on a big contract. The Pistons have cap space, whatever that means. Yeah. That's like the only shining star that I see for the Pistons. And you want Miles Bridges, like you're gonna have to go overpay for him. Obviously, like whatever somebody offers, you're gonna have to offer like $10 million more. So I ultimately think he would be a good fit if he stays out of trouble. But yeah, playing him if you did get LaVine, you could play Asar at the 2, LaVine at the 3. So that would be helpful. But ultimately, Miles Bridges, I think, would be your best option because, the least amount of capital you would have to give up.
Yeah, for sure. So should be a busy offseason for the Pistons, man. We should see what all moves they make and see if they offer Cade that extension. I'd go ahead and just try to get it done now. Honestly, just lock him up.
They're gonna as soon as they're able to do it, they're gonna pull the trigger on that.
Is he eligible after this season?
I believe so.
Because this year 3
no,
for Cade.
I think he's got one more.
Let me fact check that.
I think he's got one more, but they can offer it to him.
Okay, yeah, because I believe this is his 3rd year, right?
Yeah, he got drafted in 2020, right?
Yeah.
COVID year. And then Paulo went after. Paulo went 1 year after. Because Ant was 19, right?
Yep, him and LaMelo.
Yeah, and then Cade, Mobley and Scotty, and then Paulo and Chet, and then it was just.
Yeah, I think offering him the extension the sooner the better, because you ultimately you want to know if he wants to be here or not.
Which I think he does. I mean, you retired the number that he wanted for him. I mean, he talks well about Detroit. So I mean, he's still
he's eligible to sign the max extension this summer.
Yeah, but I think he has one more year on his deal, right?
Yeah. After this season, until last year's deal.
They'll offer it to him at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's just ownership. And, the GM got to give him some hope, give him some light at the end of the tunnel, man. Troy Weaver, just Gore, it's been a dumpster fire, man. So they got to give him reason to stay here and give him hope and believe that they're going to get this thing turned around.
It's sad, man, because just wasting his talent, man. Look what Oklahoma City's been able to do. Look what Minnesota's been able to do. Just be competent. Troy Weaver has proven that he can't be competent. And to that fan who threatened him weeks ago, I mean, I don't blame the fan, because Troy's been absolutely just atrocious. So I mean, the fact that he has a job is crazy to me. Tom Gores is not going to fire him. I guarantee you guys that. So I'm just going to keep running this franchise into the ground.
The only good move that Troy Weaver has made was getting Jalen Duren. Because I don't even consider Cade being a move, because he fell into your lap.
Your kids could have did that, Reid, with their eyes closed. Pick the best player. That's not hard. They blessed us. The NBA blessed us once by giving us the number 1 pick. We should have knew that when Victor was eligible, that we weren't getting him. I don't care how bad we were. The NBA was not letting us have Victor Wembanyama.
NBA giveth and NBA taketh away.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys, NBA news is important because the playoffs are coming up. Joel Embiid is playing tonight. He's back. His first game back since January 30th. He's looking actually pretty decent.
Okay, so with Embiid back, does Philly actually have a realistic shot of coming out the East?
No shot.
I mean, he's not. But I don't think
they're too far down. They're too far down right there. If the season today, they'd be in the play-in against Miami.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they really plummeted with All right, so my last question here. So Reid, Bronny James played 25 games this year, started 6, only averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. So you think he declares for the draft, or you think he needs to stay in school?
Yeah, this one's tough. When I talked to my other buddy about it, it's like, I think he'll honestly. I think he should stay in school because I think that having this whole heart thing kind of slowed him down. But he showed that he can play. He can still play. I think he would ultimately, grow from the college experience, knowing that maybe he stays 2 more years, but he goes back. I think it ultimately comes down to what he wants to do and try and play with his dad, and I think that's ultimately what LeBron wants to do. How much more does LeBron have left in the tank? I mean, he's playing well right now. Obviously, I think he can go for 2 or 3 more years the way that he takes care of himself. And he could play with Bronny. I think ultimately Bronny does declare for the draft just because I think that they want to get it, the sooner the better they can get it situated. Whatever team that may, I mean, shoot, the Lakers might even be able to pick him with like a 2nd round pick at this point. He might not even have to leave because, he just was a little underwhelming, as bad as it is to say. I mean, we've seen it time and time again that a lot of, well, not a lot, but like superstar athletes' kids don't do well. Michael Jordan's kids didn't, but a lot of the younger kids are. Scottie Pippen's son, he's playing on the Grizzlies, but he's not anything to write home about. But there are some kids that are also doing really well. I mean, Austin Rivers is another one that didn't really become a superstar, but yeah, I mean, we just kind of they have such big shoes to fill for these kids, and it kind of stinks. I think Bryce looks really good. LeBron's other kid, I think he's bigger than Bronny. He's taller, he's bigger. So I think he might have an opportunity to actually play really well or be really good in college. But I think Bronny will go just to probably be on his dad's team, and also I also think maybe. They don't have a first round pick this year, right? Or they do. The Lakers.
The Lakers?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe. I think the last year of like the protected picks with the Pelicans, I believe.
Okay.
This is the last year for it.
Well, I think you could probably see them like if he gets to the second round, you might see the Lakers trading up if they have a pick. If they have a second round pick to go and get him, I could see them trying to do it just so LeBron doesn't have to, because he's got one more year left on his deal, I think. So,
I believe so, yeah.
But ultimately, that's what's going to happen. They're going to play together, and I think that's why he'll leave and go to the draft.
I'll say I definitely think Bronny needs to come back to school, not because he's not talented enough, but I think, with the thing that happened with his heart, I think he's trying to, settle down a little bit in summer, and they want to make sure he was able to play. And from what I watched, he had some flashes. He's definitely a different player than his dad, a lot smaller, but he's definitely a better shooter at this stage in his career. I think he needs to be a little more aggressive. I think the tools are there for sure. I think best thing for him to do is enter the transfer portal and go play somewhere else. Maybe go play for Bron's best friend Drew, who just got the coaching job at Duquesne. Why not? Just throwing it out there, but definitely come back to school for another year. And I think LeBron's going to play a couple more years, so I think make him better, get his stock higher up, and maybe Bron leaves LA and goes play with Bronny for a year. So maybe it's his leverage for some of these teams, but. My things, I definitely think Bronny comes back for another year and has a monster sophomore season where he's got the flow of the game. He knows he'll be playing. He's got the heart thing under control, and he'll just be more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to come back. He didn't do much this season. Only started 6 games. Started off slow with the heart condition, and it's no rush to get to NBA. It's not like he's hurting for money. I mean, your parents got money. Obviously, you're making plenty of money in NIL and. Just enjoy college. You're at USC, one of the better colleges and colleges out there in Division I. And you got unfinished business. USC didn't even make the tournament this year, so come back next year. Yeah, come back next year. Try to make some noise in the tournament. Make yourself a little more visible. Get a little more polish. And LeBron's not retiring this year anyway. I can see him playing for another 2 more years. So no rush to get to the league. He should come back.
And SC's coach Andy Enfield he left. He left and took the job at SMU. So they have a vacancy, and then one of their best players, Kobe Johnson, entered the portal. But there's Eric Musselman, head coach of Arkansas, has an interview, I believe, tomorrow or sometime this week for SC. He's Arkansas head coach. So that was just important news to look out for.
Yeah. So when is the deadline for players to declare for the NBA draft?
Let's see. Probably.
I think it's like a week after the tournament or something, isn't it?
Let me see that.
Because the draft is in June, right? End of June, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's usually that last Thursday in June.
Yeah, because the lottery picks come out in May, around my birthday, just a little after, I believe.
Yeah, I think the Pistons gonna get a top 3 pick this year.
Let me see, guys. I got to get this before we get off. It's going to bother me.
While he's looking for that, you got anything else, Roger? Because I was just going to bring something up, but
yeah, go ahead. That was all I had.
Did you see with the DJ Reader thing with the Lions? What he said on the Kay Adams show?
No, I missed that.
She asked him. She said, "So something crazy happened with your flight to Detroit?" And he said, "Yeah. Well, I showed up there, and I said, well, I don't even know what time I'm leaving to get back home." And he called his agent, and he kept asking around, and they said, "Yeah, you don't have a return flight home." So the Lions bought him a one-way ticket, and then someone said that they weren't going to let you show up here and leave without a deal. And so they wanted him that badly, I guess. So they bought him a one-way ticket, and he just stayed in Detroit. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then in other Lions news, apparently there's rumors circulating they might be in the market for Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Tyler Boyd, yeah, that'd be a good move. I'd like that, but they already brought back Reynolds and Peoples Jones and
Reynolds went to Denver.
Reynolds went to the Broncos.
Oh, Reynolds left.
Yeah, he said he was getting too much hate mail. Getting too much hate mail from the drops, so he kind of weighed his options and left.
Oh, okay. False news right there. False
deadline.
News. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone.
That's what I said.
You could the receiver, even if they don't sign a free agent receiver, the receiver is deep. I mean, the draft is deep at receiver, so if they want to get a receiver, they can. But the deadline to enter the 24 NBA draft is 11:59 on April 27th. So you have to declare. But
About
That's a
25
little
more
bit.
days.
Yeah. A little bit after the tournament.
Yeah.
that's the first week of actually that day is I believe the first day of the draft. So
Yeah. The 24th is the first? No, 25th. Yeah. Thursday.
no 27th.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 27, 8, and 9. Those are the first days. But
Oh
festivities.
no, that's the Saturday. So that the draft is the 25th. Sorry. So yeah,
Okay.
for that week. So it'll be a busy week. We'll see what guys do. But
Yes, sir. All right. Well, yeah, we got opening day coming up here in Detroit. NCAA women's and men's Final Four this weekend. So, yeah, that was it. Well, yeah, good show, fellas. Next week, see you guys next week, Tuesdays, 8 o'clock. Sports update. Make sure y'all like the video, subscribe.
real quick. Oh yeah.
Tigers got postponed.
Hey, real quick, guys. Since they talked about the 24 NBA draft is going to be weak. If you guys get a chance, go turn on the McDonald's All-American game right now. These are the kids that are going to be freshmen coming up. So this is supposed to be like a very highly rated class. The 25 draft is supposed to be really highly anticipated. Your boy Cooper Flag is going to be playing in this game, so you can check him out going to my hated rival Duke. So you guys get a chance, go check that out.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, Troy Reaver's probably watching it. He's probably gonna try to draft a water boy or something. So.
He might draft the assistant coach. You never know.
Yeah, the guy wiping the sweat up on the court or something. All right, sports update. We see you guys next Tuesday, man. Peace.
Peace.